Let us talk about something that is incredibly important, but often hidden behind closed doors. The intersection of mental health and the justice system. Did you know that a diagnosis of a mental illness can sometimes make someone a target in an investigation simply because of that label? It's a stigma that has followed people for centuries. If we look back in history, individuals with mental health conditions were often unfairly singled out, sometimes even becoming persons of interest in crimes without substantial evidence. Society used to lock them away in asylums, places that were often anything but safe or therapeutic. Today, it feels like we've traded one institution for another. Instead of asylums, many individuals with mental illness are ending up in prison. A staggering 63% of all prison inmates are living with a mental health condition. This could be a condition they had before entering the system, or one that developed as a result of the incredibly stressful and isolating environment of incarceration. It's a cycle that traps people, and it's a crisis that we can't afford to ignore. You might think, well, at least they're getting help in there, right? The United States Supreme Court has affirmed that prisoners have a right to medical care, including mental health treatment. That sounds good on paper, but the reality on the ground can be a completely different story. Let me share a real-life situation with you, centered around a man named Josh. His experience sheds a harsh light on the gap between what is promised and what is delivered. Josh entered the prison system with a known mental illness. According to the law and basic human decency, he should be receiving consistent and appropriate treatment, but he's not. He's been systematically denied the treatment he needs for his condition. This isn't just about refusing a medication. It's a complete failure of the system to provide care. And Josh's story is not an isolated incident, it's a pattern. Think about his cellmate. This individual suffers from seizures, a serious neurological condition that requires daily medication to manage. Since being incarcerated, he has been repeatedly denied his seizure medication. Let that sink in. Someone with a known life-threatening condition is being denied the basic medicine needed to keep him safe. One day, the inevitable happened. He had a severe seizure, so bad that an ambulance had to be called to the prison. He was taken to the hospital, treated, and then returned to the facility. You would think an emergency like that would be a wake-up call for the administration, right? That they would finally understand the gravity of the situation and provide him with his medication. But what happened the very next day is almost unbelievable. When he went to the medication line, he was once again denied his seizure medication. Instead of the medicine prescribed by a doctor, he was handed a blindfold. He was told to use that instead of his medication. I wish I was making this up, but this is the reality some people are facing. It's a level of neglect that is not just irresponsible. It's inhumane. This is why it's so frustrating to hear proclamations that prisoners are receiving adequate care. When the highest court in the land says that treatment is being provided, it feels completely disconnected from the stories we hear from inside. Perhaps if those in power spent just one day living the life of a prisoner, seeing the conditions firsthand, their perspective would change. Maybe then they would understand the true definition of care in these facilities. And the neglect doesn't stop with medical care. The basic living conditions are often just as shocking. In the very same prison where Josh and his cellmate are held, there have been reports of maggots being found in the rice served for dinner. This isn't just an oversight. It's a fundamental breakdown of health and safety standards. It shows a profound lack of respect for the people who are incarcerated, treating them as less than human. When we talk about justice, it has to be about more than just punishment. True justice includes rehabilitation. It includes treating every single person with dignity, regardless of their circumstances. Denying someone essential medical care, whether for a mental illness like Josh's or a physical condition like his cellmate's seizures, is not justice. It's a violation of human rights. These are not just statistics or abstract legal principles. These are real people. People with families, with histories, and with the potential for a future. When the system fails them so completely, it doesn't just harm them. It harms all of us. It undermines our belief in a fair and just society. It creates a cycle where people leave prison in a worse state than when they entered, making it harder for them to reintegrate and lead productive lives. We need to hold our institutions accountable. We need to demand transparency. We need to shine a light on these dark corners and insist on change. The stories of Josh and his cellmate are a call to action. They remind us that the fight for mental health care and basic human rights doesn't stop at the prison gates. In fact, that's where it's needed the most. It starts with awareness, with sharing these stories and refusing to look away. We need to support organizations that advocate for prisoners' rights and mental health care. We need to contact our elected officials and ask them what they are doing to ensure that our correctional facilities are safe, humane, and focused on rehabilitation, not just punishment. The problem is huge, and it can feel overwhelming. But change happens one step at a time, one voice at a time. By talking about this, we are breaking the silence. We are saying that these lives matter. We are saying that mental illness is not a crime and that everyone, no matter where they are, deserves to be treated with dignity and compassion. If you or someone you know is struggling with mental health, please know that help is available and you are not alone. There are crisis hotlines and resources that can provide support. Reaching out is a sign of strength. We need a world where seeking help is encouraged, and where care is accessible to everyone, without exception. Thank you for taking the time to listen to this important issue. It's conversations like these that plant the seeds for real, meaningful change. If this message resonated with you, please share it, like it, and subscribe for more content that aims to bring important stories to light. Let's keep this conversation going.